Good evening and thank you for joining us for KREM 2 News 10 at 10, where we give you more news in less time. Let's get started. A Spokane woman could be closer to getting justice for her mom, who was murdered more than 2 decades ago. KREM 2's Kyle Simchuk spoke to her tonight about the news her family just received. Kyle?
Well, Tabitha Johnson was just 13 years old when her mom's body was discovered near an underpass in Seattle. She spent more than 2 decades wondering who's responsible and why. Now, DNA evidence may have an answer.
She was a lively spirit. For being like 5 foot, she had so much energy and spunk.
Tabitha Johnson holds on to the good memories she has of her mom, Debbie Cascio, growing up with 3 siblings on Whidbey Island.
We spent a lot of time at the beach, Deception Pass. That was like our favorite place to go.
But Tabitha says her mom started struggling and could no longer take care of them. Tabitha and her siblings moved to Spokane to live with their dad. Debbie ended up on the streets of Seattle, and soon after, the victim in a violent murder.
We didn't know the circumstances because we were so young.
It was May 2000 when Debbie Cascio's body was found under a freeway overpass in Seattle. Now, nearly 23 years later, a possible break in the case.
It's overwhelming. There's a lot of questions.
Days ago, detectives in Colorado made an arrest in a 1996 murder. Ricky Dawson was extradited from Florida, where he was serving time for a 2001 homicide. He's now accused of killing a 35-year-old woman, and court docs reveal his DNA also matches a DNA profile found in Cascio's murder.
Just brings up a lot of feelings, to be honest, and like what's going to happen next.
Dawson has not yet been charged in Cascio's murder, but Tabitha says his name was floated as a suspect several years ago. But she believes Seattle detectives have been waiting to build a stronger case.
She had a lot of friends and people who cared about her. It's just tough.
Tabitha wants justice for her mom, whose name can be found on a leaf of remembrance outside the Seattle Justice Center.
She'd be very proud of us. We all have a college education, or my brother has a military background, and then we have families, and she would be a grandma to 6 different grandchildren right now.
And Tabitha says she still hasn't heard from Seattle police, but she plans to call them and find out what will happen next and if this man will face charges. In the studio, Kyle Simchuk, KREM 2 News.
Kyle, thank you very much. And happening tomorrow, sentencing is expected for the Spokane man accused of, or rather convicted of, murdering a homeless man for practice. Nathan Beal was found guilty of first-degree murder last month. Prosecutors believe Beal did this for practice 4 months before killing his ex-wife. He was previously convicted of her murder and sentenced to 31 years in prison. He was sentenced for that murder that happened back in February of last year. Well, tonight we are less than 24 hours away from a KREM 2 investigation. There were warning signs for months that things just weren't right at the Airway Heights home of 9-year-old Mila Miller. She hadn't been seen at school since last January, and neighbors called police several times with concerns about possible violence in the home. Then in December, the little girl's body was discovered in the back of a U-Haul trailer after police say her guardians drove to South Dakota in hopes of burying the remains without an autopsy. Now those 2 guardians are in the Spokane County Jail accused of murder.
It's been really hard to process. I was so sad and heartbroken that she went through that. And now I'm angry. Yeah. I'm very angry. Because no kid deserves to go through any of that.
KREM 2's Whitney Ward investigated what happened and why a system that's supposed to protect children wasn't enough to protect Mila. Make sure to join us for our exclusive investigation tomorrow night right here on KREM 2 News at 6. Well, a bit of weather whiplash today in the inland Northwest. We woke up to a whole lot of snow, several inches of snow, in fact, and our day ended in sunshine, though. Let's check in with Chief Meteorologist Jeremy Legoo for what's next in the forecast. Jeremy?
Well, Mark, let's start with 2 quick numbers. The first, 7 inches. That's how much total snow we got. The second, as we close out the month of February, 4.4 inches of that snow fell early this morning. 4.4 is a record for today. Beats an old record of 3.3 set a while back, so kind of cool. All right, when it comes to temps, they're dropping 22 degrees right now here in Spokane and falling across much of the inland Northwest. Those temps are already down in the teens or colder. 12 in Coeur d'Alene, 14 in Deer Park and Sandpoint, 20s across the Bluffs. We're a little bit warmer thanks to that cloud cover we just talked about, and that cloud cover comes from the band of snow that just won't quit. Pullman picked up another 1.5 inches of snow out of this little band you see moving north right now. It's starting to show signs of dissipation, which is good news, but we are not done with the snow just yet. I do not think that makes it to us in time to bump up that 4.4. In fact, It winds down, moves out, and tomorrow we wind up seeing a little more sunshine. Chance of snow returns Thursday, Friday, mostly sunny, and yet more snow this weekend. We'll talk those possible totals coming up in the full forecast.
Sounds good, Jeremy. We'll talk to you a bit later in the show. And after last night's snowfall, the city activated a full city plow. Crews got to work overnight to clear the snow that was already falling from arterials and secondary routes. Residential areas and business districts will be cleared once primary routes are cleared. So here's a look at what the map looks like right now. This can be found on the City of Spokane's website. As the map updates, you'll start to see green roads, which means crews have completed plowing that street. Blue means they are currently working on it, and red means those roads are next to be plowed. For more information on the full city plow, you can just head to our website. That's, of course, KREM.com. Well, record-breaking snowfall in Portland last week meant hundreds of people abandoned their cars on the freeway. Tonight, those people are learning just how much it costs to leave your car behind. One man felt forced to park his car on the shoulder of the freeway after snow brought traffic to a halt, and when he came back to get it 2 days later, it was gone. Now he's being hit with a towing bill of nearly $800. Meantime, if you traveled through Seattle in the fall, you might remember scenes like this, the security line stretching all the way into the parking garage. Well, new tonight, SeaTac Airport has been awarded a $16 million federal grant to help prevent that situation in the future. The airport plans to relocate a security checkpoint from the upstairs departures area to arrivals downstairs, and officials say that new location will help prevent bottlenecks during the airport's busiest times. Well, Bloomsday hosted their first press conference of the 2023 season today, highlighting some of the new parts of the race. The College Cup is a brand new section for this year's race, which includes local college running teams. They also revealed the poster for this year's race. It features runners along the Bloomsday route with colorful mountains and sky in the background.
I'm proud, but I'm also just amazed every year to see what it is, what it's become. Because it's really kind of changed the culture here in Spokane.
This is the first Bloomsday race since longtime race director John Neal left the organization. Bloomsday told KREM 2 they do not plan on hiring a new race director. And now to our night beat with a quick look at the day's top stories. Spokane Valley Police have charged a 16-year-old suspect in a deadly hit and run last month on East Sprague. According to court documents released earlier this month, investigators were able to find security video of the hit and run, which led them to a distinctive pickup and then that teenage driver. Those court documents also showed the victim was Kimberly Allen. Her family spoke exclusively with KREM 2, and for that interview, you can head to our website, KREM.com. Well, new tonight, a man from Priest River will spend the next 10 years in prison for purposefully setting a half a dozen wildfires last summer. 23-year-old Ryan Green entered pleas to 6 counts of third-degree felony arson. Green said he started the fires to generate work for local fire agencies. He also said he's always wanted to be a firefighter but couldn't because of his criminal record. Well, tomorrow, a pandemic-era boost to SNAP benefits is coming to an end in dozens of states, including Washington. For nearly 3 years, the emergency allotment provided those households with at least an extra $95 per month for food. Well, inflation increased food prices overall for about 10% from just a year ago. Starting Wednesday, families who qualify for government assistance will return to receiving pre-pandemic amounts. And that was your Night Beat. To learn more about any of these stories, just text us the word night to 509-448-2000 and we'll send them directly to your phone. Well, the prosecution and defense in the double murder trial of disgraced former attorney Alec Murdaugh have rested, but this isn't the end of the trial. Before both sides present closing arguments, the jury is taking a trip to the crime scene where Murdaugh's wife and youngest son were shot to death. Once that's done, deliberations will begin, but it's hard to say which direction they are leaning as the case is extremely circumstantial. No murder weapons been found, and there are no eyewitnesses.
I feel like my life is on the line if it doesn't get canceled.
That's one of many students with loan debts unsure of their future tonight as President Biden's plan to forgive debt for more than 40 million Americans is facing its toughest test yet, the U.S. Supreme Court. The justices heard arguments today on 2 different challenges brought by 6 Republican-led states and 2 student loan borrowers. Liberal lawmakers continue to argue that it'll benefit millions, while Republican leaders say the plan will cost states too much money.